Hi, good afternoon. This is Scott Fischer with Options for Senior Living, and you're here in our backyard today. It's one of my favorite places to hang out, and I wanted to talk a little bit about options and the free services that we provide. So, first of all, you have to ask yourself, free? Really? Is there something really for free? And the answer to you is yes, absolutely. Our services are completely free to families and the professionals that we serve. We are in a relationship contractually with hundreds of assisted living homes and centers here in Maricopa County, and they pay us a referral fee or commission for helping them bring residents to their facility. So it's part of their marketing budgets. It doesn't increase the cost to families. Sometimes families will ask me that, so they must charge me more, right? Not at all. That's all just part of their operational expense now to involve or include compensation for referral agents such as myself. The question then is, how do we go about what we do to provide the services that we do for families? How does it start? What's the process involved? And it involves a face-to-face assessment. We always want to, unless it's really going to create an issue for the senior who might be the appointed person who's going to be placed, we want to meet everybody and do a face-to-face assessment. For me, having been a clinician for over 30 years as a nurse, I learned so much by seeing someone, hearing their responses to my questions, even if they don't have any idea what we're talking about, and that may be the case if they're suffering from dementia. I never go in and say, hey, I'm here to talk to you about where you're going to move to your next senior living setting. Never happens like that unless the senior is completely on board with the process. But by sitting with that person, I can see how they respond to my questions. I can see if their sense of humor is still intact. I can see if they look to their loved one to answer the questions because they're compensating for their answers because they don't know how to respond to the answers themselves. So these are really important things that start with that assessment and evaluation. From that, we gather the direction by which we're going to go, and we work with you to help set the priorities for your loved one. Our role then is to follow what your wishes are. We'll certainly set it up in terms of location. We'll certainly talk about the different costs that are involved, because that often drives the kinds of facilities that we have access to look at based on the resources that the senior might have. But once we have conducted our initial assessment and worked through those, developing that list of priorities, it's our job, I call it doing our homework, to go into our database then and to do the research to find the best facilities that meet the priorities that you've identified for us. Then with the next step comes the time that we set up the tours, and my staff and I will go with you at your request. It's typically 9 out of 10 families want us to join them so that we can go through the facilities with the sales director or with the assisted living homeowner and help you ask the right questions, help clarify things, particularly with the assisted living homes. Many of those folks come from other countries, and so they have a different way to express themselves. They have different phraseologies. They have a different understanding, and it's important that we join you in that journey at that point in time, because we can help clarify and sort some of those things out. Finally, we walk you all the way through to the point where your senior moves into the new facility, and we can help follow through at the very end of that process as well. One important step I want to make, that when we go to look at those facilities, we're doing our homework. Part of that is a review of their most recent Arizona Department of Health Services surveys. Those facilities we look at are all licensed facilities, so they're under the licensure and jurisdiction of the Department of Health, and we have access to the most recent surveys to make sure that there was no issues in terms of care or neglect or abuse or any of those kinds of things. And if there are some issues, we can certainly look at their plan of care and plan of correction and how they rectified those deficiencies with the state. Anyways, great to have you with us in my backyard today. Always great to share. Thank you, and have a great afternoon.